Well, hello and welcome to Joel's Home. I'm your host, Joel Plug, and today I thought I'd try to get into the meaning behind the phrase, you have to be able to love yourself before you can love someone else. Another familiar version is, if you don't love yourself, then who will? Now, they're both great sayings, but no one talks about what exactly they mean. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so you have to be able to love yourself before you can love someone else. The first mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to love is that we think about love in a perfect world. And the funny thing is, if love was perfect, then you wouldn't need to love yourself before loving someone else, because the other person would love you perfectly, just as you would love them. The reason we need to love ourselves first is specifically because we live in a wonderful but flawed world with wonderful but flawed people. Nobody is perfect. Not you, not I, nobody. Now, being in love can be wonderful, but it's also a vulnerable and dangerous time. If you're infatuated with someone, you wouldn't do anything to hurt them, but what about them? Do they feel the same way towards you? Are they in love? What are they looking to get out of this relationship? It all boils down to trust. You're in love and trusting the other person, that they will love and respect and cherish you as much as you love, respect, and cherish them. And when things get rocky and one of you stumbles, that's when you need to be able to communicate effectively with one another, get back on the same page again, so that you can continue to move forward together. Now, let's take a moment for me to ask you something. What do you think causes a breakup? When you boil it down, I think when you can't get both sides to agree with something, and that issue that's disagreed upon is big enough to become a deal breaker. It's really that simple. Leaving the toilet seat up regularly will probably not end most relationships. Of course, you can agree to disagree on things. However, if someone cheats on the other person, that's a clear example of a deal breaker. Here's a fantastic example and a lesson for everyone out there. It's never too early to plant a seed. My parents are fantastic people, and I'm very thankful for the peaceful environment that I grew up in. But why was it that way? I think it's very simple. There were standards that were set very early, actually, and they've continued throughout their courtship and marriage, and I was born into that environment. I've been told that my dad was a gentleman from the very beginning, and I believe it. But with that being said, while the young high school sweethearts were first dating that would one day become my parents, my mother told my father very clearly, if you ever hit me, we're done. They were just kids, but a standard had been set. A line was drawn in the sand. They both knew what was and wasn't acceptable. It's never too early or late to set a standard. And who would be insulted by such a statement? I wouldn't. Why wait for an issue? Lay it on the line. If you're with someone that says, well, I can't accept that, then it's best to find that out as soon as possible and part ways. But Joel, this is about loving yourself. That's exactly right, interested viewer. You see, a person that doesn't love themselves is far more likely to make excuses for any disrespect they receive from their partner. Oh, they didn't mean it, or they promised they won't do that again, or, the worst one of all, it was my fault. I shouldn't have said or done whatever triggered them. First off, if anyone is telling you, look what you made me do, or it was your fault, then you're with a person that lacks accountability and can't even take responsibility for their own actions. You did not make them do anything. You are not the problem. Now, let me ask you, if they said they wouldn't do it again, what if they do? How many times will you accept it before you reach your limit? If there's a certain number of times that you could accept their unacceptable behavior, would you share that number with them? Would you let them know how many times you could accept it? Do you think they would use every one of those chances that you've given them just because they could? In matters of the heart, I pray that you keep things simple. There are plenty of great people out there. Personally, if I'm abused or cheated on, then message received, they have told me, essentially, that they aren't willing or capable of being the person I'm looking for. And I will forgive them and move on without them in my life. The relationship would be done. If I can't trust them, then there's nothing to work with. Now, if there is someone in your life that you've been betrayed by and you're tempted to take them back, here's my advice. I do believe that there could be room for reconciliation, but only after a complete separation and some time apart. The longer the better. Essentially, it's however long you need to not miss them. You want to wean yourself off of them. Then you could consider starting from the very beginning again, talking on the phone first, talking about expectations, setting boundaries, and letting each other know what are your deal breakers and expectations. Then date again like you're strangers all over again, because essentially you are. And get to know the new them. Have they changed? Have you changed? Is there a spark between you? Are you both willing to work on this new relationship? In the end, the question will be, can you trust this person? And be honest with yourself. Your gut won't lie. You don't need to convince anyone else, but it has to be okay with you. I personally don't believe in second chances, as that implies that you're going to try how things were again and see if you can do better the second time. No, it didn't work. I might, however, like I just said, consider a new chance under a new set of rules and circumstances. And that difference is the key. For example, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. I think they could possibly make a new beginning work. They've got love and respect now, and they can lay down new boundaries and give it a try. They've grown up a lot and could find a way to make it work if they're both willing to do the work and get to know what each other wants. Once they know the price, they can decide if they're willing to pay it. I'm not talking about money. There are many currencies in love. If you and someone special keep getting drawn together, then they had better be awfully special, as we only have so much time on this planet and they've already ruined their shot. I'd say proceed with caution, but then you wouldn't be giving the relationship much of a chance. You have to proceed with good expectations and faith, and if you can't, then it's already over. Don't waste your time. So to reiterate, going back right away to someone who has hurt or betrayed you just says that you, the victim, have accepted their behavior. So why would they need to change? They did what they did, and you're still with them. What's the lesson here? Well, the lesson learned is that they can do it again. The lesson is that you, the victim, have accepted that this is okay. Now, the alternative is to teach a lesson, that there are consequences for actions. They'll learn the lesson and hopefully be a better person in their next relationship. You will always be the one that got away to them because they weren't good enough. You'll meet someone, I assure you, you will if you want to, and share the story of your past experience and how things went, and they will learn that you won't accept that behavior from them. Nothing is wasted. Your past helps your future. The lesson comes with you because you're not just a person of big talk. Your actions back up what you say. You're now even more desirable and worthy of love. High standards leads to excellence. Low standards are a gateway to suffering. If you love yourself, you will have high standards for how someone will treat you and won't need someone to validate you. You'll always know that you're a great person who is worthy of love and respect. However, if you don't love yourself, then you will most likely seek someone who validates you. And if they treat you badly now and then, well, that makes sense with your self-identity. Such people are far more likely to make excuses for abuse because the abuser is fantastic and they're nothing without them. It's not true, by the way. You're worth more than you may ever know. But that's what people often tell themselves when they endure and accept abuse. Don't cling to memories of the past to create false hope for the future. There are people that say, but Joel, the Bible says to stay together. Well, the Bible also says to love and cherish one another. The betrayal of your trust broke their promise to you and God. You're not going to hell if you walk away from that. That's on them. God doesn't want you to cling to suffering. God would probably rather both of you get a chance to assess your lives and grow as people. Staying in a problem won't fix it. You can't control them, but you can at least change your situation for the better. Maybe they'll do the same. It could happen, but it's not up to you. Don't let anyone use God against you. There's a song by Randy Travis. It's not God related. That was very popular back in the day. It had a message that always kind of bothered me. Randy Travis is the cheater in this song, and he is singing, I keep waiting for you to forgive me, and you keep saying you can't even start, and I feel like a stone that you've picked up and thrown to the hard rock bottom of your heart. Now, where's the accountability here? Who hurt who? He cheated on you, and now he's calling you cold-hearted because you can't forgive him? In this moment, this person's a fool, but if you forgive that fool, then you're the fool, as he's gotten away with it, then hasn't he? And if he's gotten away with it, then I swear he'll do it again. Not everybody wants a relationship, but if you do, recognize that your partner in life is a role that needs a special person to be able to live up to your expectations. Choose wisely and communicate all the time. If you see a little red flag pop up, talk about it in private, right away or as soon as possible, ideally before the day is done. You both need to know what the other person needs for you to both have a chance of success. You're both applying for a position as each other's partner and ally, the person that you'll lean on and help so that you can both face the challenges that come your way together. There's no room for violence or cheating in this union. Let's work on some self-love now, shall we? I know that sounds weird, but there's nothing stupid or embarrassing here. Just a couple of questions for you to think about and answer, although I won't hear you, so do with it what you will. Whether you're single or in a relationship, it doesn't matter. The point is, let's establish your value. First off, are you loyal? If someone is lucky enough to find you and become your life partner, will you have their back through thick and thin? If you answer yes to that, then that is a very valuable trait in this world, and you're an amazing person. If you said yes and you meant it 100%, that's awesome. Now, the next question, are you honest? If someone is blessed enough to have somehow teamed up with you as their life partner, will you work with them? Not only when it's easy, but most importantly, will you work with them when it's challenging? To be honest and open about what you like and dislike about your relationship. Will you set aside your pride and give and receive constructive criticism so that you can both talk like adults about each other's feelings, so you can grow together into something far greater than the individuals that you were when you first met? There's no replacing the connection of the mind, people. It is a kingdom that only the two of you can see. It can only be built by the two of you, and it's indestructible to anything the world can throw at it. There are only two people that can destroy it, you and your partner. And there is no ass on earth that's worth more than such a kingdom. But you can't build it alone. My friends, if you said yes to those questions, and you meant it with 100% conviction, then I want you to recognize your greatness. If you're willing to put in the work and have the hard conversations without letting pride get in the way, I don't care if you're rich or poor, you are amazing and deserving of nothing less than the same level of devotion and respect that you're willing to give to your partner. Recognize this, love yourself, and now that you know your value, you can begin to test the waters and try to love someone else. Just remember that you must hold each other accountable and be able to trust one another. This isn't a destination, it's a life journey. Know that there are very serious consequences behind these standards. It's easy to say things, but know that it's equally important to mean what you say. If someone ever does hit you or disrespects you after you've already told them that you won't accept that, then their actions have said that they don't respect you and they're willing to lose you. Now, if you forgive them, be sure that you can still trust them, as your forgiving them has just ruined your credibility and put into question everything you've ever said would be a deal breaker to them. So give that some thought. If you're with someone who you love and they hit you, if you don't love yourself, if you don't recognize your value, then you're much more likely to create excuses for the unacceptable behavior of your partner and accept the unacceptable. But if you love yourself, if you know your worth, you'll recognize that such a person is not what you deserve and is not a worthwhile person to build a life with. Now remember, if you're looking to be in a relationship with someone, over time it's going to evolve into something more than just getting together for drinks. Down the road, in the near future, if you're looking for something long-term, this relationship, whatever relationship you're in, this union with someone else, will become the foundation of the rest of your life. So be sure to consider that and think, is this the right person for me? You've only got so much time, so be intentional. If you're out to have some fun, it's okay, but tell the person you're with. Respect their time. And then, if they're also out for something casual, then you can both fully relax and enjoy each other's company. But if you are after more, wouldn't you want to know if they weren't? But if you love yourself, then you'll know what is and isn't acceptable behavior. If you love yourself, then you'll be as ready as anyone can be to try and love someone else. I say try because it takes two. You don't know if they'll be equally devoted, but stay close and communicate as equals and remember your worth. For the love of God, remember your value, and I'm sure you'll be fine. So that is my long-winded explanation on what I think it means to love yourself before you can love someone else. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts. All constructive and kind comments are welcome. So feel free to share your thoughts as well as like and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.